Welcome to Data Voyagers. We're here recording live at Qlik Connect. I am Igor Alcantara. I'm here with my co-host and friend, Angelika Klidas. Angelika, thanks for being here. And we also have a good friend and great guest, Martin. So, do you mind introducing our guest?
Yeah, well, with us we have Martin Kostic from the firm Infinity. I, if I remember the story correctly, you started Emark, and
Yes,
from there you have built the company Infinity.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's correct.
that's correct. So,
Yes.
Martin, maybe it's good to the public to introduce yourself a little bit.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Martin Kostic. As you said, I started, it was 25 years ago, 26 years ago, actually. I started a solution provider company, and I've been working in the Qlik ecosystem for 17 years, actually. Yeah. And, um, and then 6, 7 years ago, I started a technology company called Infinity, which is focusing on building, developing value-added applications for Qlik, and that's mainly in the scope of replacing spreadsheets, right? So anywhere where there are spreadsheets, we come and search for like how we can replace those spreadsheets, right? So while Emark, my solution provider company, is focusing mainly on building solutions with data, Infinity is the technology that is available to partners and customers, and they can use it to replace spreadsheets around them, and that touches the two major areas, which is write back and planning.
Yeah, that's what I know because I have the products on my tenant. Before we started this podcast, we had a pre-briefing, and we were talking. Okay, what are we going to talk about? Because it's a rather sudden question to you to join us in this podcast and in this recording. I think the best way to start, and Igor, fill me in if you like. Um, we have Qlik's vision, his Qlik's AI vision, and then we have Infinity's AI vision with Infi, the new large language model that you produced. Um, how do you see that future coming closer together?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think it's actually not Qlik's vision and Infinity's vision, but it's one AI vision that brings together various pieces of the whole AI. I would say opportunity that currently we have here, right? And I would compare it to, I've been in the Qlik ecosystem for a long time. I experienced the huge growth of dashboarding and analytics, whatever, 10, 15 years ago, which was like almost like a revolution, changing the face of how data is used, because there used to be, heavyweight reporting tools and so on, and we were replacing them, right? And now we're in situation where AI will change everything, and the question is how to do it properly, right? I love how Qlik is approaching it with the focus and emphasis on trust and trusted data, and also bringing AI to people, building this human AI loop, making sure that people can use AI the way they want, whether it is in Qlik or outside Qlik, in the LLM of their own choice, where they actually work. So bridging this, and then obviously the question is how can people benefit from this, right? And we obviously building Infi, our AI bot. We try to do it in a way that is secure, it's governed, and it democratizes the way how people consume data, how people interact with data, because that's what we want to achieve. Yeah, we want to make sure that people are happy using data, that data actually has the impact on people's lives, and there is a lot to do to achieve this. Right, one thing is technology that should enable this. Another thing is working with people, enabling people, inspiring people, making sure they understand these possibilities, and everything has to be governed, because you have suddenly loads of new possibilities,
Yeah.
and they have to be governed. So this is basically some foundation how we were thinking about what it should look like, and really our goal is not to build an AI for AI or some gimmicky AI application, right? It is, and it should be, an AI tool that is really able to sustain really heavy industrial usage and usage of multiple users with the governance and security in place.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So we mentioned already in this conversation, but I think it deserves its own question, so we can detail a little bit more. So Infinity has announcing like a big addition to their product suite, which is Infi. So actually, we had like a private preview a week before Qlik Connect, and it's really cool. So you might explain a little bit what is Infi and what customers would expect with that.
Absolutely, thank you. So Infi is our AI planning agent, and we said like, okay, what is the problem we want to solve? Because if you want to build AI, which is not an AI for AI, as I mentioned, you want to build AI that helps people, you have to know what problem you're solving, right? Because then you can actually achieve it, right? And we actually realized that when you're doing, when you're building planning applications, when you're running your planning workflow, right? There's a lot of clicking involved, and a lot of advanced clicking, right? So you need to know what to do, where to click, how to model the planning workflow in the product, in the tool that you're using, right? So you have to have expert knowledge in a product of your choice, right? And we were thinking like, what could we achieve if we build an AI product that will not require any specific knowledge in technical knowledge in terms of like which buttons to click and which items to click on a dashboard, right? What if you could just write what you want, right? What if you could just say, increase these items, decrease these items, pre-fill these items based on last year with certain modifications, leave out these values, give it an advanced, real-life advanced prompt, and you will get all these changes done automatically by Infi, right? So this was basically the first line of thinking, how we can actually help people, right? So less clicking and more like write what you want and it will do it for you.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So I usually I joke about it, and I said there's three things certain in life. Actually, our listeners probably heard this like too many times. There are three things certain in life: is death, taxes, and the user will ask to export to Excel. What are and which is a common practice? And you started by saying that one of the key ideas that Infinity started was to replace spreadsheets. What are the key problems when the data goes outside of the application to a spreadsheet?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are huge problems associated with using spreadsheets outside of a governed environment, right? One of the most common use cases we see is just, you have a dashboard, you're exporting data to a spreadsheet, then you're doing some modifications, adding some categories, doing something that needs to be done, maybe even distributing these spreadsheets to other people, consolidating it, uploading it back to Qlik, and then obviously you find that the data quality is very low. It's prone to errors, and the results. If you missed something or you want to change something, the whole loop again, right? So this is probably the most common use case I've been coming across talking to customers and partners, also in these days. So we're looking at where these companies, where these people actually use spreadsheets, not just for reporting, but more like for various records and planning and keeping track of information. Yeah. And we target these areas of heavy usage and huge manual work. And every single person that comes to our booth and we're talking about it, they are like, oh yeah, so I have loads of spreadsheets everywhere around me, right? So it's not a question if, it's just a question like where to look first, right? So there's a huge I'd say opportunity for us to really help those people, and obviously help them get better data, more governed data, because you should be able to trace the whole line of changes. Someone once said that if you export data from a BI tool, it's like to a spreadsheet. It's like a puppy dying, so we want to support life, right? So we want to support that all the data is nicely integrated, traceable, secure, governed, and it all happens in Qlik.
Yeah, because that's the biggest advantage I think that you have with your products, that it's completely connected within Qlik.
Yes,
That's
that
the
is-
biggest differentiator when you look at the products of Infinity. Um, Maybe another question, not technical related. Do you think we will ever get rid of those Excel sheets?
That's a tough question.
Yeah,
And I was like,
I
actually,
know.
I've been actually thinking about it, right? Because there is a, I think they have their space in the world, and they have their space at work, you know, in processes,
Okay,
right?
let me rephrase the
Yeah.
question. What would be the best way to use the spreadsheets within an organization?
And that is exactly the right question.
Yeah.
Because where I find spreadsheets really good is to design, draft a workflow, draft what you really want, right? Because they're flexible, right?
Yeah.
So using their flexibility to your advantage and really define what you want. And once you know what you want, and maybe run the first iterations of the processes, and then you can say, okay, so now I know what I want. I know like 80, 90% of what it should be, right? And it will never be perfect, right? So don't expect that you will once arrive to a perfect process, which will be perfectly described, and then you can automate. Forget it. That doesn't work, right? But you're fine with 20% effort, having like 80% accuracy, and then you should, and I would say you really should convert these spreadsheets to something else. Because if you remain in spreadsheets, it's hell will happen, right? There will be like hellfires around you, right?
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, yeah. I think the biggest issue that we are facing many years already is that you have a spreadsheet, you build something cool, and somebody makes a copy of it, does his own magic, and it's very cool. And then we have the next, it's copying, and we have multiple versions of the truth, and that's, I think, the biggest issue. And I don't know from a business perspective if we can conquer that or get rid of that, but I hope there will be some awareness within the organization, at least that I go to do my advisory work, that say, okay, Angelika said this, we should take care of that, right, or minimize it more or less. So thanks, Igor. Do you have another question for?
No, just like thanks, Martin. So the QE, and thanks for the great work with you and the team. And we have so many friends at Infinity, so thanks for all the work you do. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for inviting me, for having me. And thank you, Igor, for being our champion at Infinity. Thank you, Angelika, for being our great supporter and great friend and personal friend as well. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. And I appreciate the work you're doing, because you are sharing inspiration that needs to be shared. Like I really, when I come to Qlik Connect, like now, I see so many excited people who are happy to be here, and seeing after years of kind of like searching, like what is it going to be actually, this AI? You know, now they see that it exists, it works, and it's in production, so people can use it for something useful. So I see the flames in their eyes when they come, when they talk to me, and we need to spread this. You know, we need to share this with the world, because people don't know what's going on here, right? It's amazing. The potential here in this room is just enormous.
Yeah. That's the. Sorry. We need to switch mics. That's the potential that there is here in this room, from a technical perspective, but all from the business perspective, the people perspective. Because, and what we need to guardrail is the fact that we have a tool, which is just a tool. It's the human that makes the calls, and we should protect that at all times. And that's the message that I'm spreading right now. I know that Igor is doing the same. So we did some amazing things. So again, thank you, Martin, for being my friend, but also being my inspirator when it comes to working with Qlik and Infinity. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelika. You're too kind, but thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.